Welcome back, guys, and welcome to another Warframe of the Day video. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite frames, Limbo. This is a viewer-requested video, so I'm going to go in real deep explanation just so the guy who wanted to see this can understand it really well, and anyone else who's watching who just picked up Limbo for the first time can understand how he works. He's a bit complicated, very complex frame, but once it's broken down it's pretty easy. He's one of the best crowd control frames of the game. Unfortunately, a lot of people hate when other players use him just because of the way he crowd controls, and you will see why shortly. So we're going to go ahead and get into the build that I have on Limbo here. This is going to be a max range, decent power, strength, and duration build. His main deal is range. You want his range to be as big as possible, just because that's how you get his maximum crowd control capability. So we'll start off with Energy Siphon. This can be replaced with Corrosive Projection, just because he creates his own energy, and you'll see why in a little bit. But I like Energy Siphon. I like just having an abundance of energy no matter what. Then we're going to go put Power Drift on this. This is knockdown, resist, and more strength. I really like Power Drift. I run it about on most of my frames, honestly. You could replace it with Cunning Drift, which right here, it adds ability range. That's going to give it even more range, but take down your strength a little bit. I like the knockdown, resist, and the power strength, personally. But those are interchangeable. Then we're going to put on Continuity. This is going to give us more duration for a lot of our skills. Duration's pretty important for his skills, but with how fast you'll nuke the competition with this setup, you shouldn't have to worry too bad if you did want to change it and have a little less duration. Then we're going to put on Overextended. This is ability range and ability strength. Change that, or balance that out with Blind Rage. This is going to take your efficiency down. Again, not a huge deal with Limbo because he makes his own energy. I put Streamline to help balance out Blind Rage a little bit. Then we have Vitality, Stretch, and Rift Torrent. Rift Torrent is not a need, but I think it's really, really good and will make any melee build just through the roof. This thing changes the way Limbo plays. So Rift Surge Augment, Limbo deals 30% extra damage for each enemy affected by Rift Surge while in the Rift. Really, really good. Then we're going to put on Prime Flow just to give him as much energy as possible. So that about sums up the build. Today I'm going to be using the Prisma Dual Cleavers. The Dual Cleavers are just as good as these. The Prisma is just a tad bit better. It really just matters what you put on the build. I can show you my build real quick. Condition Overload, Relentless Combination, Blood Rush, Virulent Scourge, Volatic Strike, Berserker, Organ Shatter, and Drifting Contact. You can pretty much capitalize with any melee weapon with Limbo, given the Rift Surge Augment. If you don't have that Augment, you can still do very good damage with him as long as you have a decent melee weapon. The reason we focus on melee with Limbo is because once I explain his abilities, there's one of his abilities that stops time, and any bullets that are shot are frozen in time-space, and once you close that ability, it will shoot all the bullets at once, so they'll all start flying and hitting their targets. But that being said, I don't really care for using the ability like that. I like to be melee, and I feel like it's a lot quicker if you use melee. So, breakdown on the abilities. Banish, not really used. This is only good when you're doing kind of like sortie defenses to close off your defense target in the Rift by himself. But I don't really use Banish all that often. Cast a wave of Rift energy that damages hostiles while pushing enemies and allies out of Limbo's current plane of existence. Then we have Stasis. This is the one that freezes time. Freezes Rift-bound enemies while active. Weapon fire is arrested in midair, resuming its trajectory when stasis ends. So this is why we don't really use any kind of weapons other than the melee weapons, because our shots are suspended in air. Then we have Rift Surge. Surge nearby rift bound enemies with rift energy. When killed, the rift surge is transferred to an enemy outside of the rift. Surged enemies that leave the rift perform a radial banish. I can't really remember what radial banish is. Oh, radial banish. It's his one. I never really pay attention to Rift Surge like that. Like I said, I use Rift Surge with the Augment Rift Torrent, so I really don't pay attention to it bringing more people into the Rift, and you'll see why in the gameplay. And then we have Cataclysm. A violent blast of void energy tears open a pocket of Rift Plane, which can sustain itself for a short period before collapsing into a lethal blast. Cataclysm, you open it and you close it pretty much immediately. You don't wait till it closes itself. It helps crowd control a lot better. It helps if you are playing with teammates, them to not get annoyed, but at the same time some people do want it up so they can come into the rift and get kills as well. Most people get mad at a Limbo player because he's a quote-unquote kill hog or kill stealer if he's played this way. The way I look at it, if there's ever a Limbo running it the same way that I run it right now, I'm okay with it. It makes everybody's job easier, and it doesn't really affect me. He can get all the kills he wants because the mission's getting completed, and that's all that really matters. Especially on high-end missions, sortie missions, and stuff like that. So we're going to go to, let's see, we should probably go to a defense. We'll do Hydron. This is a pretty good defense if you're leveling stuff. Get a squad and go boost your gear with an infinity booster. Even without one, it takes a little bit longer, but it still works. I really enjoy this frame aesthetically. I think he looks really good. I'm really into steampunk and stuff like that, so getting the Plague Doctor mask and kind of getting the steampunk colors on really makes me enjoy this frame. Alright, so when you dash with Limbo, instead of doing roll or anything like that, you send yourself into the rift. So in the rift, you cannot interact with anything that is not inside the rift. Kind of annoying. You can't pick up energy, you can't pick up ammo while you're in the rift, unless it is, I believe, unless it is killed inside the rift. But it won't matter because the setup we're going to do here is all rift base. You're all going to be fighting in the rift. You won't be doing anything outside of the rift. Limbo is very squishy if you try to use them outside of the rift. So we're going to let them pile up. What we do here is we activate our, I believe it's 2, stasis, yep. Then we activate our 4, which is Cataclysm. Then we activate Rift Surge, which is our 3, and then we close Cataclysm. Anything that didn't die, we dash back into the rift, and that's it. Crowd control. Anything that doesn't die like that, you just smack them with your cleavers, and it's easy work, no problem. So you can close stasis, and then do it all over again. Open stasis. Of course, we don't have enough to Rift Surge right now, but if we go out, grab that orb, come back in, bam, Cataclysm, close it, whatever doesn't die. Stasis didn't work, that's interesting. Usually it does. But whatever doesn't die in stasis will be executed by our cleavers. But it helps to have a lot of energy with him. This build is more focused for in-game stuff or for more enemies. So I'm going to drop one of these to kind of show what I'm talking about here. And again, like I say in all my videos, you can build a frame any different way. It just depends on what you like to do, how you like to play. I like running Limbo this way. I usually only use him for in-game stuff because I feel like he does not perform well when it's low level nothing. So activate our stasis, Cataclysm. We can even keep Cataclysm up just so anything that walks in gets stasis. Then we're going to do Rift Surge and Now we have the 163 booster right there. If you keep Cataclysm up, it is totally fine. The reason I close it is because it does damage when it closes and kills a lot of enemies. That is really good for in-game stuff, but really aggravating when it's low-level stuff, because this is more focused on it staying up longer and dealing with harder to kill enemies. Doing low-level stuff like this, he's kind of wasted because he has potential for so much damage. Do stasis, open that, and if I hit Rift Surge and close it, I mean, it kills most of them. He's at a little bit of health, and anything that's still alive, we just clean up with the cleavers. Why are you not in the Rift? And they're all frozen with stasis, so you don't have to worry about getting downed or anything like that. This guy's stuck here. Alright. But that's pretty much the basis of how I run Limbo. I like him for in-game stuff. He has really good damage potential. Probably something that would do him more justice is if we abort this mission. And I go show you in the simulator against level 105s, even like what 105 heavy gunners, or I don't know if I have heavy gunners. I might have bombards. Go to Earth. Go to the Strata Relay. But that's the only thing that I get annoyed about with Limbo, is that I feel like I can only use him when things are super difficult. I could make another build that is built to just make him super efficient and still do around the same thing, with more efficiency, a little less range, and run it the same style. I kind of run my Ember the same way, is just a little bit of range, just enough that anything in the vicinity of me gets killed, and not so much like 3 tiles over. But I really, really like this build because of the damage potential. So we're going to go to our simulator here. If you don't know how to get the simulator, go talk to Cephalon Samaras. It was in the same room that I just went. You'll have to get a certain amount of standing. I believe it's 50,000. And you will be able to unlock the simulator. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and enemy level all the way to 105. That's about as high as I can go because I am only mastering 15. Okay, and we don't need to put on invincibility because of the crowd control. I probably will die just because of the rockets, but that's alright. We're going to try. I think you can do like 6 on a tile. So we're going to go ahead and hit stasis. This ensures that when I cast that right there, it puts everybody in the rift. That is not what I wanted. Not what I wanted. Why aren't y'all? Yep. They did not stay in the rift for some reason. That is why I usually close it immediately. Alright, let's try that one more time. I'm pretty sure I only spawned 6. That did not seem to work. While you are in the rift, you're not able to cast... You can cast Cataclysm. You can cast Cataclysm, which will bring stuff into the rift with you. Let's see. I apparently did 20. You need to kill these enemies. Okay, let's just get 6 so I can kind of show you how this works. Alright, so we got 6 bombards. Go into the rift with harder stuff first. Activate stasis. Get them bombards here. That way when we go in, everything's frozen immediately. Cast Rift Surge. That ensures that when you close it, it does damage. They didn't take all that much damage, but that's not really the point of that. That's keeping them in the rift. And then we're just going to kind of wail on them. Rift Surge did not work. Okay. They might have changed him. But anyways, once you get Rift Surge up and you get enough in here, you just mop the floor with them. I mean, they're nothing. Absolutely nothing. Try that again with a lot more this time. Oh, it's been a while since I played him. Go into the Rift. Okay, we'll focus on one group at a time. We're going to stasis. And I think this time we're going to Cataclysm. Close it. Okay, that did not work as intended for some reason. Let me try that again. Stasis. Open Rift. Close Rift. They're not staying stasis. Interesting. That used to work. I don't know if they did a rework with him. Let's try. Like this then. Open Rift. Keep Rift open. Rift Surge. We'll just keep it like that, I guess. It keeps him frozen and keeps anything that comes in frozen as well. Of course, if I was running one of my other melee weapons, this would just absolutely decimate them, but even then it still is. There's still nothing. The way I used to run it is like that, where they're frozen even though I don't have the bubble on them, and then after everything is frozen in the room, I just continue to keep them crowd controlled, no matter what. So if I run stasis again, open the Rift, Rift Surge, close the Rift. Okay, now it works, but Rift Surge disappeared. How frustrating. I'm not sure if they changed up the way he was used. I was not aware of that. But interesting. Very interesting. But I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I said, you can run them a myriad of different ways. I enjoy doing it this way when it works as intended. Sometimes it does not for some reason, and I'm not really sure why. But if I stasis, open the Rift, hit 3 and close the Rift, it gets rid of my Rift Surge. Which does not make sense to me because that never used to happen. We're going to test this out one more time. I'm going to try it a little bit differently. We'll simulate that. Go into the Rift. We are going to stasis. We're going to freeze everything. We're going to close it. Interesting. Alright. Let me try it one more time. See if this works. Freeze everything. Go into the Rift. Stasis. Oh, it's not stasis, and I'm gonna die. Oh, okay, cool. Nope, I'm good. I'm good. Now Rift Surge. Now close. Rift Surge is over. Okay. They might have changed that a little bit. It used to be you just hit Rift Surge and it was no big deal. And it would stay up. I guess they have changed it to if you don't hit Rift Surge while bubbled, it will let everything out of the Rift, even if it's supposed to be stasis. Which is only a little frustrating. Yeah, and then it gets rid of my Rift Surge. Interesting. Or the time might have just disappeared. But as you can see, I'm just kind of one-shotting these guys now if you have stasis and Rift Surge on. And I mean, they just turn into butter. They're easy enemies after this. Anything really, once you bring them into the Rift. 305 Bombards have really, really high armor. or I can't remember what the pros call it. They call it like health and armor put together equals this name for their total HP or whatever, like whatever that is. But yeah, that's pretty much how he works. So you would go into the rift using your dash, activate stasis, activate your bubble, hit cataclysm, which is your bubble. Then you're going to use your 3 to keep everything in the rift. You're going to close your bubble, which will do a certain amount of damage. On lesser enemies, it is better. And then you're going to use Rift Surge once you're back dashed into the rift, so you can take advantage of the damage buff. We'll do that one more time. So dash in, stasis, get your group, cataclysm to keep them in, close it, dash back in, cataclysm to keep them, or to do your damage buff. And that's pretty much it. These guys turn into nothing. 105s. He does get frustrating when you're dealing with his dash. It can get really, really annoying. But once you get used to it, it's not that bad. You just kind of keep dashing. And as you saw there, I didn't have to be in the rift to cast the abilities on the guys in the rift. The biggest thing about Limbo is he divides the battlefield, so you can keep people in the rift and not worry about them. And that is pretty much it. Like I said, you can build him a lot of different ways, however you want to. I mean, he's not one of the best frames by any means. He's pretty entertaining just because you can crowd control and do really hard missions by yourself as long as you have the energy to do so. But that is pretty much it, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I will see y'all next time.